So if the vessel that is like a bus who's doing his voyage like a round trip, if it gets stuck in LA for 2 weeks and then gets stuck in Oakland because that's the route for another 5 days and then gets stuck in Seattle for another 3 days, it cannot get back on time to Shanghai, to its original port of loading. Yeah, so it delays 3 weeks.
Well, and can we touch on that a little bit? You had mentioned like how there's not enough containers to go around right now. And I feel like you're the right person to ask why. Where are they?
In his office.
In his office.
Everybody asks that. So here's how it works. A vessel moves out of China, yeah? A vessel is like a bus. It goes through stops. So for example, if you have a vessel going out of Shanghai, it'll probably go to Ningbo after Shanghai and then Shenzhen. And from Shenzhen, it'll go to Busan, which is South Korea. And from Busan, it'll go to Los Angeles and then to Oakland and then to Seattle, right? Dropping containers at all these ports of discharge. And what happens is that now the vessel gets stuck in LA for 2 weeks because COVID. Yeah, COVID happened. There is a huge backlog. Shortage of drivers, shortage of 3PLs workers, containers are not moving fast enough. So if the vessel that is like a bus who's doing his voyage like a round trip, if it gets stuck in LA for 2 weeks and then gets stuck in Oakland because that's the route for another 5 days and then gets stuck in Seattle for another 3 days, it cannot get back on time to Shanghai, to its original port of loading. Yeah, so it delays 3 weeks. So that whole line is being blanked. In the professional lingo, it's called blank sailing. So the shipping line just canceled that week voyage because the ship did not return on time. And sometimes they cancel 2 voyages, 2 weeks. There is no vessel because it's still on the way from its destination ports. It's still on the way to the US. So right now, you're looking at 30 to 40% blank sailings from China, which means those regular vessels that was supposed to leave China, they just didn't get back on time, and they just cancel a whole vessel. And what happens in China, production keep on going. There are more and more containers piling up waiting for export. And I don't know if you know that, but US imports, we see a surge about 30 to 40% this year compared to last year. So there are much more containers to ship, much more products to ship because consumer demand is growing. Mm-hmm. So you have much more containers compared to last year. You have much less vessels because they get stuck at destinations. Again, it happens in Europe as well. Same thing in Europe. Suez Canal problem, just add on oil to that fire. Mm-hmm. And so now you don't have enough vessels to carry all these containers. That's your space problem. Now, the second problem that this is causing is those empty containers. There is severe empty container shortage. What happens, these vessels, when they come back to China, they bring in thousands and thousands of empty containers from destination countries. So not only they don't get back in time, they don't bring in enough empty containers. So now you have a supplier sitting on a pile of products, his whole yard, the supplier, the factory, filled with product. He cannot get an empty container. The freight forwarder cannot get an empty container. And now you get a butterfly effect when we see today that a lot of factories are actually sending people home because they cannot manufacture. Because they don't have a place to put those products because these products are not moving out. And so production lead time is also being affected by that. And that whole thing started with COVID. Around COVID, we all expected, all industry experts in shipping, when COVID just started in March last year, we all prepared for a deep decline in imports because we thought, all right, this is like a world crisis. People will save their money, people will not buy, and there will be less imports, and that's what we thought. But what actually happened is that people did not spend money on vacations. People did not go out to restaurants. People did not went out. People did not go to concerts. They had a lot of money to spend. Where did they spend it? Online. They are home. they're spending it online. So e-commerce was just booming, and consumer demand went through the roof. And instead of shortage of imports, there is a surge of import last year, but operational manpower last year when Corona hit US, it was a disaster. There was no truck driver, no port workers, 3PLs couldn't access containers because they did not have people to unload these containers. Truck drivers still get paid by the government. Some of them still stay at home because they get money for free. So there is a severe shortage of truck drivers up until today. Dock workers, port operators are still in huge backlog, and they are still understaffed. So that's basically what started this whole butterfly effect and kind of a snowball of surge in imports and decline in operational manpower, and you have the perfect storm.